morning, y'all. I'm Meredith Dean. Also, I go by Mare Bear or Baby Blue, even Marinator to some. And the way that I start out any of my keynotes is like this. I want you to go ahead and turn to the person to your left or to your right, depending on where you're sitting, and tell them something that you love about them that is not appearance related. All right, so you guys see how the energy is in this room? Everyone's feeling really good right now, right? Oh, say again? Oh, yes, thank you. You're the best. I love it, Tim. It's really important for us to not focus on those appearance-related things, right? And there's nothing wrong with you looking at your friend or a new person you just met and saying, girl, I love your dress, where'd you get that? Or, man, you look good today. But when we start getting more into the characteristics of people, their energy and their spirit, that's when you get a little bit deeper. And that's when it really makes a bigger impact. So the words we use to describe others can either build them up, which is what we did right now, or it can tear people down. And so that's one of the main things I want to talk to you about today. Woo-hoo. All right, so I did not know what the ethos definition was before I got here. I'm not going to read it. I'll let y'all read it up here. But a lot of people would question me just based on my appearance or the fact that I'm a woman, and I do not pretend to be oppressed here. I'm a white, cisgender, straight female. But appearances are a factor in how others perceive you, and we all kind of know that. But there's nothing better than surprising those who underestimate you. And the ethos of our current time can sometimes feel a little bit shallow, a little bit appearance related, mostly due to social media. But my company is trying to change that. And if you don't challenge the ethos of your current era, we're never going to have progress. So we're going to talk about the Dean's List here. And that's why the ethos of the Dean's List is all about empowering everyone and believing in the power of community, offline and online, which we just saw in the manifesto from Creative Mornings. Also, QC Javi, where are you? Absolutely killed it. Way to go, man. And this ethos kind of comes to life at our different events that we do that build face-to-face connections. And some of you guys might know these, but EmpowerCon at the Charlotte Convention Center that Tim spoke at, to Dean's List dinners where I take everyone's phones and put them in a basket to make sure everyone's focusing right there. And then also our 20 Under 20 awards coming up for 14 to 19-year-old phenomenal teens. Some of them that are in here right now. Sky, my intern, I love you. Please stand up. You're phenomenal from Charlotte Lab School. Love her. And also our young professional meetups where people get to meet who may have never met otherwise. And even though Dean's List does personal websites and LinkedIn and resume and social media, I harp on the fact for my clients that there is nothing more important than in-person interactions. And that's just my 5 to 9. For my 9 to 5, which actually pays the bills, thank you, Atrium, I run Ryan Seacrest Studios, Music Therapy, and Arts for Life. Olivia is here, my amazing program director. Where are you? My girl, I love you so much. During the day, and then I'm creating healing and creative and entertaining programming for our patients. But luckily, passion and purpose both align. So my 5 to 9 and my 9 to 5 allow me to be a connector and an empowerer every day. So I could go on for the next 3 hours and talk about all the people who have built me that are here in this room, professionally and personally, all part of the Dean's List community. So if you see yourself on that slide, please stand up, or if you've gone to any of our events in the past for Dean's List. I love you guys. I'm crying again. You guys are amazing. And if you're not already on this slide, you are now. You guys are part of the Dean's List family. That's what I'm talking about. We're bringing you in. Okay, so I'm actually going to focus, though, today on my immediate family. And I'm going to tell you the story of who built me through the timeline of what was said by several white men, who I'll be picking on just for today. And we're going to call them Brad, Chad, and Thad. And these all refer to different parts of my life, starting in childhood, moving on to college, my career. But we're juxtaposing them with all of the strong white men who have made me who I am today. And without the support and encouragement of these men, I would not even be standing on the stage today. So white men, you're getting all the attention today. Totally different than the ethos of this world, am I right? Totally different. So it's your time to shine here. All right, because honestly, if I was talking about all the women, the badass women who have inspired me, we'd probably be here until dinner. But I want to go ahead and point out Marty Dean over here, my queen. She also loves it. Ohavia is also like her second granddaughter. But she is being pushed by Marcy, my aunt, at the Asheville Women's March here. And she's also famous on TikTok now, too, if you want to follow. All right, so in all seriousness, though, as we're going through the timeline, I want you to remember that one conversation can fully change the way that you all look at the world. And these are the ones especially that maybe you don't even remember, but it could change the entire trajectory of someone else's life. And some of these key defining conversations in my life, even the ones that seem so small or insignificant to those men at that time, that shaped me and defined me for the rest of my life. And people come into our lives for a reason, a season, or a lifetime, and we all have heard that probably before. But some of those interactions can be positive or negative, and it's our job not to let those things tear us down, but to build us up instead. So we're going to start from the beginning of the timeline here. Enter teenage dirtbag, Meredith Dean. So I was very obsessed with Guitar Hero. Quick, does anyone have a favorite Guitar Hero song? Anyone? Eye of the Tiger. Say that one more time for me. Oh, When We Were Young. Yes, The Killers. We love it. Fantastic. Was obsessed with my Razor phone as well. Very obsessed with N64, particularly Legend of Zelda. Also Slipknot and Linkin Park. Very, very into hardcore rock. But I was also a 4.0 GPA student and then also the captain of the cheerleading team. So very, very interesting there. And this is also where I meet Brad, my world history teacher. I grew up in a very conservative area of Georgia. So there's Milton High School there, built after Monticello also. And so Brad was an interesting dude. One day in class, he wanted to bring up Roe versus Wade. If you can see where this is going. In high school, Meredith is highly outnumbered when it comes to opinions on reproductive rights, which is no surprise, and especially differing with that teacher, Brad. And I'm not going to get political, but let's just say I'm the sole person who did speak up and based my opinion with fact. And then I might have spoken maybe too loudly and out of turn, and I got my very first detention. So I was actually his person only, and I was horrified. But then I also realized that my opinion didn't really matter as a young woman to Brad. So I go home to tell Dad about this, and what do you guys think he thought? What do you think he said? He didn't care at all. He cared not whatsoever, and he has a very specific set of skills. So Walter Dean has been a champion of women's rights internationally circa 1983 after he graduated from Davidson and moved to Kenya. He helped me understand the value of education as a young woman, especially because a lot of these women were dropping out of school at 13 because there was no clean water to clean up after the periods. This Kilimanjaro man even has shopped for tampons for me. This man knows the difference between the absorption levels. I mean, an incredible man. But also the man who, instead of buying me clothes for Christmas, helped me incorporate my business at 22, and whose profits now go to building girls' schools and wells and clinics in Western Kenya. If you want to come with us in May, let me know. Talk to me after. But had I listened to Brad as a high school girl, I may have never spoken up again about women's rights. But my dad reminded me that that is not how he raised me. So now we get to talk about Chad. So excited. Also, I'm really sorry to Chad in the back. I love you, man, doing technical stuff. But specifically, these are the college frat boys who really do not care about women very much. They kind of want us barefoot, pregnant, cooking. But not that there's anything wrong with cooking. Now, their favorite enterprise is Barstool Sports. Has anyone heard of Barstool Sports? If you have not, it's a social media account and brand. It's kind of the opposite of empowering women. If you know, you know. So I went viral for this picture of holding this sign, and what I did is I added one extra portion of the flag, just saying to respect women. That was it. Went viral, of course, and I'm not gonna actually read out all the different comments that I got, but my favorite were the death threats I got in my DMs for saying to respect women. But thousands of women in return came to support me from all over the country and built my brand stronger than it had ever been on social media. So enter, love of my life, my brother. He is a gentle giant, 6'5", Theta Chi from Georgia College and State University in Milledgeville, Georgia. And he showed me the opposite of what it was like to be a Southern frat boy. He's super sensitive, and he made a point to bond with me over our love for very nerdy things. particularly Lord of the Rings. And is anyone watching Rings of Power tonight? Yes? Oh, love it. Winston. It's going to be good. I can't wait. Also Star Wars, Assassin's Creed, lots of different video games on every console. But Harrison's approval of these things as a young girl that were deemed definitely very much guy things, he made me feel more secure in my hobbies and my interests. He was also very vocal with his fraternity brothers about not following Barstool Sports, and they boycotted it together. But had I not had the support growing up, I may have never started my business and then started even building websites because my love for video games helped me start coding. And I was also thinking maybe it wasn't cool for girls my age to do that, but Harrison changed that. Moving on to Thad. These are all the men in my career that didn't believe that women really deserved a seat at the table, especially women that shouldn't maybe belong in the tech industry to them. Shout out Carolina Women in Tech. Thank you for all the work that you're doing. Now, these are all the different comments from multiple men in every work setting I've been in. And I know a lot of women here are not strangers to these. Just by show of hands, how many women have ever gotten something like this? That's too bad. Yeah, really hate that, but we've all experienced it. So, enter Ray Dean, my grandfather, who honestly looks more like the up guy than Carl Fredrickson himself. Very, very TikTok famous at this point as well. He is the opposite of your typical old white Southern man. He grew up in a very rural area of Tennessee. He was a tobacco farmer, middle child of 5, and he ended up working at 17 for the FBI, was the only one to leave his home under J. Edgar Hoover. He also then moved to Japan to serve in the Civil War. Wow, that would have been a long time ago. In the Korean War. And he worked in intelligence and then became a chemical engineer, and he worked his way all the way up into the C-suite. But my favorite story about him is that even though he was a major leader in the company, he did not allow the female secretaries to go get him coffee or any of the other execs in the room. So he's like, damn it, Bob, you're not gonna let her go get you any coffee. And he made that very clear to everyone, which was way ahead of his time. So as I've got more life experience, I also realized that this is not necessarily normal. So I'm just really grateful that Ray made me believe that anything was possible as a woman. Now, what's really interesting is I'm now speaking in the same church where my great uncle was also the interim pastor, which is really, really neat. And this man loves to get in some good trouble. Wink, wink. All right. The last two amazing white men that I don't know, I would do without. And I'm gonna get emotional probably, but I'm gonna try to hold it together. But true male allies, y'all. These are the people that constantly put women's names in other rooms, and not just women, but creatives in general, and they're constantly advocating for others. Well, I talked about EmpowerCon earlier, but I also started the 20 Under 20 Awards because of a Bear Hug grant. And they also got me honored at the Panthers game this past Sunday. And it's just truly incredible. Love you guys. Like I said, I'm gonna get emotional. So we're going to talk about some do's and don'ts for the ethos of the 2020s. I want all of you to reach out to a new person a day. It's really not hard in this world. Slide into people's DMs professionally. Don't neglect your mental health, though. I've lost a lot of people this year to suicide, and it's no joke. I want you all to take care of yourselves as much as you can. Take a break, and there's no shame in that because relaxing and doing nothing is still doing something. Establish your brand online and in real life. If y'all hate social media, that's totally okay. Just have a LinkedIn because you need to have some sort of online presence. People are going to think you're hiding something for some reason. So just have a LinkedIn. You don't have to post on it. But next, don't spread hatred online. Be kind because you never know what others are going through. We're seeing this with cyberbullying nonstop. But also, think about writing good reviews for restaurants. We always tend to write bad reviews, right? Start writing good stuff. They need it, and everyone was really suffering during the pandemic. Next, spread love and value online. A lot of my clients worry about the amount of likes they get. You might have one person, one of those likes of the 2 likes you got on a picture, that could have changed their entire world based on the inspiration you gave them. Do not scroll for hours. And I have to tell myself this, I put a timer on everything. You are creatives, create more than you consume. That's why we're here, create more than you consume. And the last do, Challenge the ethos of your time, and especially when it makes you uncomfortable. And the last don't compare, but be aware. Be aware of your industry. And I know it's easier said than done to not compare, but no one does what you do the way you do it. I'll say that again. No one does what you do the way you do it. So let's go into the fact that every single person here is an influencer. You don't need 10,000 followers. You don't need a verified account, but your words in person and digitally are influencing constantly. And remember that your words matter, because every interaction, all of these different things that we've talked about today, it has the ability to change someone's future entirely. And sometimes we don't even know the lasting impact until decades later. So I want you to think about the conversations and people who have built you into who you are today. And what I'm going to get y'all to do, I know this sounds like it's rude, but you're going to pull out your phones right now, every single one of you. Please pull out your phones for me. Thank you. Great. It's not rude. And I want you to think about, who have you not thanked enough for changing the course of your entire life? And it's only going to take you 35 seconds. I want you to text that person right now. Thank you. Because today, you have the superpower to uplift others, to change the ethos of your time, and to empower everyone. Don't wait. Thank you.